The most exciting 2 minutes in sports, the Kentucky Derby, less than 15 days away. We continue on with our handicapping shows, giving you the data so that you can pick your own Kentucky Derby winner in 2025, looking at some of the different handicapping factors in the Kentucky Derby. Today we're going to talk about speed figure progression, some of the Brisnet speed figures. Remember, there's different speed figure services, but a lot of people like to look at the patterns of the speed figures and also the day's rest between those starts to find a good speed figure pattern. We're going to talk about 3-year-old development and overall speed figure analysis and the patterns of rest for this video. Smash that like button if you're liking the Kentucky Derby videos. The John White strike system is already up. If you want to see some of those handicapping factors, there is a spreadsheet to go along with that video. But Brisnet speed figures are one of the speed figures that are available, and it shows you the total speed of the race. It's adjusted for the racetrack. And what I like to look at is speed figure development. So a lot of times older horses will pretty much get to a certain speed and then they don't really improve. But one of the factors for the Triple Crown handicapping and the Kentucky Derby is that horses are improving, they're lightly raced, and how you look at their speed figure could determine if you think they can improve or decline in the Kentucky Derby. Now again, you still have to factor in post position, workouts, how they're doing, their trip in the race. But one of the things you'll hear when speed figures is a top. And that's a career high performance, and horses get faster from January through April by about 10 points on average. Now here's an example of a horse that come off into the Kentucky Derby off a career top, and that's Rodriguez. He ran a 105. If you notice, before that he had ran a 97, a 91, and a 91. Then he got a 105 in the Wood Memorial. And you know, could he pair up that 105, or is he going to bounce and regress off that 105? That's one of the handicapping things that you need to look at for Rodriguez. Now, a pair, this is when a horse runs 1 or 2 points within the last race, so an 88 or a 90, or a 91 and then an 89. Now, what usually happens is horses pair up speed figures and then they improve, and that's what the ultimate goal is looking for handicappers, is they're looking at horses that have paired up a number and then now they're ready to move forward. Now, Citizen Bull is an example of horse that has paired up a number. He went from a 96 in the Robert Lewis. He had a 97 in the Santa Anita Derby. A lot of people think he could maybe improve off that because he had quite a break between those two races. Now, other people think that he might be over the top and he needs a need to lead type, and so they're going to analyze the pace of the race in with his speed figure to see if he can improve or maybe decline off that speed figure. Now, a bounce is when a horse runs too fast too soon and then they return to the racetrack very quickly after running a career high or a big performance in their most recent performance. So sometimes they regress in their next start and it could be a bounce candidate. So American Promise is one of those type of horses. He ran a big figure the last time, a 105, a career top, but he had already ran 8 times, so it's unusual for a horse to run 8 times and then go up that dramatically. Usually horses improve in their 3rd, 4th, and 5th starts, but not in their 9th start. But that race at Colonial Downs, the racetrack was very fast that day, and it was a 1-turn mile and an eighth. So kind of a unique track distance for Colonial Downs. So for handicappers, they need to determine, is American Promise going to bounce, or is he going to maybe kind of just pair that up or regress a little bit in the Kentucky Derby? Because a 105 is good enough to win the Kentucky Derby. Now, not all speed figures are the same. You've got Thorograph, you've got Regression. They account for pace of the race. They account for ground loss on the turn. Beyer speed figures account for class of the race. Thorograph accounts for ground loss. So different speed figures, will have different numbers for the horses, and that's why you'll see different speed figure numbers out there when you're handicapping the Kentucky Derby. The reason why I use Brisnet speed figures, they're not as manually updated by people, and they've been around for about 20 years, and the numbers are free. The Kentucky Derby will give out Brisnet speed figures as we get closer. I'll put out a link for those numbers. Now, all of this will be in a spreadsheet. I'm going to be showing some numbers for the Kentucky Derby this year, and you can download the spreadsheet in Google Sheets and take a look at it, add your own numbers, and kind of analyze them. Now, horses coming off a career top include Sandman, Journalism, Final Gambit, Chunk of Gold, and Publisher. So those horses had a career top in their last race. Now, what you're also looking at for speed figure development is how many days between the speed figures, their top figure, and comparing their performances in their most recent race with previous performances. Again, horses improve a lot of times in that third and fourth lifetime start. That is when they will get a new career top or pair up performances and then move forward. Now, after 6 or 7 races, you'll see smaller improvements. Horses will only improve by 1 or 2 points. So you have to match that up if they have a new top in their last race, but it was their 4th, 5th, or 6th race, because they probably won't improve as much in their next start. So speed figures, it's not as simple as the fastest horse wins the race. You have to factor in pace. We'll be doing a pace video in the next week, and also other videos on analysis of races. Now, if you want to know the fastest Brisnet speed figures, again, you can download this in the Google Sheets. In the description, there'll be a link to the spreadsheet. Fastest horse coming into the Derby is Journalism. Second fast is Baeza as he gets in. Citizen Bull ran a 107 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. American Promise is coming off a top in the Virginia Derby, and Rodriguez a top in the Wood Memorial. Now, again, we don't have speed figures for Luxor Cafe and Admire Daytona because they ran overseas in the UAE Derby and in Japan. Remember, I put in blue the number of races because the more races they have, there's less likely they're going to improve in the Kentucky Derby. They may just pair up their previous speed figure. They might not improve as much. But Journalism, Baeza, Citizen Bull, and American Promise, along with Rodriguez, they have ran very fast Brisnet speed figures. But Baeza only has 4 races. Journalism only has 5 races. They can still improve. A horse like American Promise with 9, he probably won't improve as much in his next race. So download the spreadsheet in the description. Now, the day's rest, horses improve off a 40 to 70 day break. That allows them to get muscle growth, weight gain, recover from an extended effort. So that's what you're looking for. Now, going into the Kentucky Derby, American Promise will be on a 49-day rest. Grande on a 28-day rest. Luxor Cafe on a 35-day rest. And what you're looking for is what's different than previous. Now, when you look at a horse like Baeza, he had 50 days off, and then he set a career top in his last race. Now he's only going to get 28 days off. Grande had 47 days off and 37 days off. Now he's going to only get 28 days off. So these are the different handicapping factors you have to look at. Now, Journalism, a horse like him, when you look at his past performances, he had 77 days off, then 35 days off. So he's going to be his shortest turnaround of his career in the Kentucky Derby. And Sovereignty had 125 days rest. Now he's going to get 35, which is that perfect form cycle, along with Tappan Street, Tistastic. Look at Tistastic ran last year on 10 days rest. So he's kind of cycling into a new form pattern, and he's got a new running style. So American Promise has his longest rest. Grande has his shortest rest. Sovereignty, a nice good pattern when you look at that overall. Now, the one thing I did notice here is highlighted some of the bigger rest periods, because that's when horses can improve in their next start. Baeza East Avenue had a long period of rest. Sovereignty, Tistastic has kind of been all over the board. So again, you want to look at that day's rest and match it up with their speed figure. You can take a look at the spreadsheet and kind of come up with your own patterns. Who's going to determine? Now, you may look at these numbers and determine a whole nother pattern, and that is what is kind of analyzing speed figures is all about. We still got pedigree show with Jessica Tugwell, workouts, running styles, pace analysis to come in future videos. Remember, more details in the spreadsheet in the link below. Key dates, post positions on April 26th, pedigree show with Jessica Tugwell on April 29th, and the Kentucky Derby the first Saturday in May the 3rd. Pedigree show coming up on April 29th. Triple Crown Prospectus, sign up for that. We rank all the contenders all the way through the Belmont Stakes. And like, comment, share, and subscribe if you're a fan of the Kentucky Derby videos. The Final Fractions video is up. A spreadsheet goes along with that. And the GPS data analysis is up. There is a spreadsheet for that. What do you think of the Kentucky Derby speed figure patterns? Who do you think is sitting on a big win? Leave a comment, share, like, subscribe. Remember, D. Wayne Lucas always says, people have opinions, horses have the facts.